On your navigation pane on the left-hand side of your screen, click the Calendar button. The Calendar button is easily clicked if you're in the Folders List view. So if you're not in the Folders List view, make sure you're in the Folders List view by clicking the Folders List button and click Calendar. Now the one thing I'm noticing when I'm in the calendar is I'm not seeing my to-do bar on the right-hand side of my screen, which I normally see when I'm in the inbox. If I click Inbox, I can see my to-do bar, but when I go to Calendar, I can't. So what I'm going to do is go to the View tab in the ribbon, and I'm going to go to the Layout group and To-Do bar and choose Normal, because I think it's important to see your to-do bar in both the calendar and in the inbox. Now there are different ways of viewing your calendar. For example, I can choose a day just by clicking on the View tab in the ribbon and going to the Arrangement group and clicking the Day button. I can see a work week, which for me is Monday to Friday, or a 7-day week, Monday to Sunday. I can also see a monthly view, and I can see a schedule view. But I'll go back to week. The other thing I'd like to do now is to set up my calendar settings. My calendar might look quite different to yours, and I need to explain why. If I click on the File tab in the ribbon, and then click on Options, I can click on Calendar on the left-hand side. The sorts of things I've put in place are the fact that I start at 8 AM. And so when you're looking at the calendar, you can see the white area, which is my working time, starts at 8 AM and finishes at 5 PM. You need to decide what time your calendar starts and ends. And this is mainly for those trying to organise meetings and to invite you. They need to know what time you start and what time you end to plan meetings. Also, you need to decide what days are working days. For example, if you don't work Wednesday, then Wednesday should come unticked. But if you do work Wednesdays, keep it ticked. So I'm working Monday to Friday. I can still put appointments on Saturday and Sunday, as you can see over here, but they can't plan meetings and invite me to meetings on Saturday and Sunday because technically I don't work those days. Other options include the first day of the week for me is a Monday, and I like it that way, and the first week of a year starts on the 1st of January. Other options include default reminders. Whenever I add an appointment to my calendar, I always get a default reminder added, and it gives me 30 minutes reminder. You might decide you don't like reminders, or you might decide that 30 minutes is not enough or too much, and so you can change the duration. You might also like to add holidays to your calendar. If you have family or colleagues in other parts of the world, simply click the particular country and Outlook will add the holidays for that country to your calendar. But I'll click Cancel. Other things you might consider are the colour of your calendar. For instance, I have my colour set on a yellow, but you can change it to any colour you like, and that's why I've got this yellow effect in my calendar, as you can see in the background. Other considerations might be the font. I particularly like using the font Arial in 8 points, but you might decide that's too small or you don't like that particular font. So you can click the font button and choose a font and a font size, etc. But I'll go Cancel. So that's where my font's coming from. I also like to show week numbers in my Date Navigator. Those are the little numbers that you can see at the beginning of each week in my Date Navigator on my to-do bar. This gives me a real perspective as to how quickly the year is disappearing. For example, I can see I'm in the 30th week already. Now the fact that I can see those week numbers is because I've ticked this option. So I'd recommend that you show week numbers in the month view and in the Date Navigator. I also have 2 time zones in my calendar, as you can see here. I have a New Zealand time zone, so I've labelled it NZ, and I've chosen the Auckland-Wellington time zone. But I've also ticked that I want a second time zone, and I've labelled it US, and I've chosen the US and Canada Pacific time, and that's why I'm getting a US and an NZ time zone in my calendar. And those are the sorts of settings you should consider when setting up your calendar. So I'll click OK. The other thing with regards to the calendar is how to use the Date Navigator. We saw that if we went to the View tab in the ribbon and the Arrangement group that we could choose a working week or a month. But what if I want to see 2 weeks? This is where the Date Navigator becomes really handy. The red border tells me that this is today, and I'm seeing this week. But if I drag from the 30th week to the 31st week, I can see 2 weeks in my calendar. If I drag from 30 to 31 to 32, I'm seeing 3 weeks in my calendar. So it's very handy to be able to just choose specific dates in your date navigator. For example, I can click on the 30, hold the control key down on my keyboard and click on 34, and now I'm seeing these 2 weeks in my calendar. I could also select certain days, perhaps the 24th, 25th and 26th, hold the control key, and the 21st, 22nd and 23rd of the following month. And this enables me to see those specific 6 days in my calendar. So the date navigator is brilliant for being able to select certain days, certain weeks, or being able to drag and highlight what you want to view in your calendar. Also be aware that you can resize your to-do bar if you want to see more than 2 weeks. The wider I make the to-do bar, the more months I can see, and I can drag it back also. Another consideration are the intervals that you see in your calendar. For example, I like to have my intervals set to hourly intervals, but you can right-click the time zone and you could choose, say, 30 minutes. And now I have 30-minute intervals in my calendar. Or I could take it right down to 5 minutes, which makes my calendar very big. But I can put things down for every 5 minutes. Or I can right-click and set it back to 30 minutes.